All, a huge thank you to Michael and his team. I am honored to be the first speaker at CypherCon, and this talk is Security Control Wins and Fails. For those of you playing the Capture the Flag, you're going to want that. 3, 2, oh. Everyone get what they need from that? Go ahead. 3, 2, 1, all right. Let's talk about reasons for this talk. First of all, who am I? I'm Jason Lang. I'm a pen tester with CypherCon, based out of Brookfield, Wisconsin. It is my pleasure to be here. I'm so happy to be presenting to every one of you. The what? What is this talk? Man, I only got 30 minutes. This is going to be incredible. This is a discussion on controls that actually slow down and stop attacks. This is from me to you. I'm a pen tester, so actually, how many of you pen testers? All right, cool. How many blue teamers, defenders? Good. This talk is for you. If you're a pen tester, go get a beer. Actually, stick around because I need you. Okay? Don't worry, it's coming up. What this talk is about, it's a discussion on the controls that are going to slow down people like me, okay? Or people like my crew back there who love breaking into companies. What this talk is not about is the latest flashy thing to buy. I'm not dropping any sexy 0 days. Sorry about that. But what this is from me to you, as an attacker to a defender, I'm going to try and tell you in 30 minutes or less, God, controls that actually work to stop or slow me down, and controls that don't. And why am I doing this? Because I want to help you prioritize your dollars and your time. Because as blue teamers, how many of you are 5 to 6 projects deep in work right now, right? How many of you think your organization is spending money wisely on security? 2 dudes. All right, good for you guys. Are you the owner? All right, just a real quick disclaimer. What I'm going to tell you is this is actually just meant to be kind of a fun, all-around, enjoyable talk about controls that work really well, controls that don't. But this is very subjective. Every pen tester experience is going to be different. And so controls that might stop someone else might not stop me, and vice versa. So if I say that a particular control sucks, and you're like, oh, well, I think that control is awesome. Well, good for you. That's great. Okay? So all you're getting is my experience in this particular talk. And also, there's not enough time to cover everything. If you are just married to a particular control, and you're like, oh, this control is so sexy, I just love it, and I don't talk about it, sorry, but not sorry. Okay, so real quick, all comments and ratings about this are from the standpoint of a determined intruder, me. All right, I'm not like the drive-by Nigerian prince, shooting you, a billion emails saying, hey, here's $1,000. That's not what this is. All right, what this talk is about is about controls that might stop someone like me who has a skill set to compromise and break into a company. All right, that is what this is. So very important. What I don't want to do in this talk is leave you feeling hopeless. Be like, if I throw your control out there and I'm like, yeah, this control sucks, and you're like, oh, I love this control. Well, I don't want you to feel hopeless, because sometimes the controls that I put in the fail category might work very, very well for another type of attack, but they don't necessarily work well for a determined intruder. All right? So here's where we're going. I have 10 controls. I have 10 slots. And chances are, I'm going to throw a control out there, and chances are every one of you already knows what category it's going to go into. All right? So we're going to talk about each one of these controls. We're going to put it into a category, and we'll see how everyone lines up. So let's start with number 1. Network access control. Do you think this control, who thinks this control is a win or a fail? Who thinks it's a win? Pen testers in the back. Yeah, who thinks it's a fail? Who thinks it's a waste of money? I'll tell you right now, this control is awesome. Network access control is a huge win. Why? Why is it a win? Well, if I have compromised your network, or if I have socially engineered my way into your building, and I got a little Dropbox, I got a Raspberry Pi, I got something, okay, and I jack it into a port in your network, well, if I'm not authorized, that communication stops immediately. Okay, or it doesn't even get an IP address. It gets blocked at the port level. Network access control is outstanding, but oftentimes a lot of companies don't want to implement it. Why? Because it's expensive, and because it's hard. You try and implement NAC, you try and implement something like Cisco ICE, you're in for a world of pain. But I'll tell you right now, that control is outstanding when it comes to stopping determined intruders. All right, we're going to put that in the win category. Number 2, network segmentation. Win! Network segmentation is a huge win. All right, this is if there was one thing that I could give to all my customers, it would be this nice little map that says, here is how you segment your environment. You take your domain controllers, you put it over here. You take your database servers, you put it over here. You take your exchange servers, and you put it over here. And guess what? You only have certain jump boxes that can get into each one of those, because the vast majority of environments that I test, the networks are all flat. They're all flat. They're
Hi folks, I'm Geek here. Unfortunately, we had a video rig freeze up, and so we lost about 30 seconds of audio. However, the slides should be continuing, and audio will resume very shortly. Sorry for the inconvenience.
I mean, antivirus is great. Antivirus, from my standpoint, is a major fail. It's a hideous fail. Why? Because it doesn't get in my way and it doesn't block PowerShell. Yeah? Who's blocking PowerShell in your environment? No, what? One dude in the back. One dude? No, never mind. He raised his hand, but he's like, no, it wasn't me. What? No, you're not. You're not either. No one blocks PowerShell. Okay? But they should. Why? Because PowerShell natively evades antivirus because it's a trusted Windows process. But AV doesn't care about that stuff. AV only cares about the malicious exploits and, bad payloads that get generated from some other country. And they're always behind intruders. All I need is a copy of Shelter or Veil Framework or something else where I can just, pack a binary and add some polymorphic jump code, and there is no signature for it. This is how we compromise enterprises. Your AV, if you're trusting that, if that is your gold solution on your endpoint, you're in for a world of hurt. Sorry to say, but it's true. How about number 4? Here we go. We're getting into some interesting ones. Security. What's that? You think this is a win? Who votes a win on security awareness training? Yes, it's a win. Yeah. What we do in our organization is we have a lot of customers that pay us simply to fish them. I don't know how many thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of fish we send a year, but it's a lot. Customers pay us to fish them on a quarterly or a semi-annual basis. And I'll tell you right now, those customers that actually implement a security awareness training program and stick to it, they see double-digit decreases in their click-through rate. Now, you're always going to have some dumb user who freaking clicks anything. Well, if you don't have the stones to fire that person or reprimand them, then you earn what you get. Okay? But an effective security awareness training program, what I am not talking about is computer-based training. That is worthless. If you as a company, if you are in charge, if you have purchase-making authority in your organization and you're spending your security awareness training budget on computer-based training, you're wasting your money. Don't do that. Who makes a great security awareness trainer? Well, a pen tester does. Why? Because the last security awareness training that I did, I threw up a ton of phishing emails that we actually built and actually worked at breaking into an organization. If you're having users click next, finish, and then take the stupid quiz at the end, they don't care about any of that. So I got news for you. They're going to check that off their list, wait until next year when they have to take it again, wait until the last possible moment, and they're not going to remember anything. Pay for some high-quality security awareness training that will go a long ways to help protecting the weakest link in your organization, which is your people. Okay? Security awareness training, that's a huge win. All right. I got to take a deep breath for the next one. Anyone recognize that slide? So my buddy, a pen tester friend of mine, he's like, Jason, click this link. I was like, okay. I didn't take security awareness training. So I clicked the link, and there's a public-facing webcam. Some dude aimed the webcam at his hand. And there's like a password on Post-it note. Now, what you don't see, what I blurred out, is the company name to like an industrial control electrical system. And I just kind of blurred that out. And I'm like, I saw this, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Really, man? From Maryland? This is what you're doing? This is how you're spending your time? You're just aiming? DLP, moving on. That's just pissing me off. DLP. DLP, there are a few controls that I will call an absolute waste of time and money and resources. DLP fits squarely in that category. Okay? On a pen test, if I have compromised a machine, I've compromised a network, let's say I'm going after a SQL server. All right? I suspect there's some juicy data on a SQL server. What am I going to do? I'm going to get access to a machine. I'm going to set up an interpreter so that I can actually pivot to that box. And then I'm going to get a remote desktop session on that machine, and it's going to go across the internet. Okay? So from my target host over to the SQL box is RDP. Why DLP is utterly, actually, I'm not going to say it's worthless. Okay? It's misunderstood. DLP, when people put into place the DLP solution, one of two things happens. Okay? They either have to so hopelessly neuter it just to get it in production that it's basically unusable. Okay? But number two, they suspect that it's protecting data leaving their organization when really all it's doing is stopping users from sending social security numbers and credit cards in their email. That's all it's doing. Okay? It is not stopping a hacker from taking data. Okay? Because here's how I take data. Remember that RDP session? We actually demonstrated this technique. We were at RSA 2 weeks ago. And in our booth, we had a booth that was just dedicated to hacker demonstrations. And at RSA, we debuted a brand new, never before used means of extracting data from a secure network. We had a machine up there. I had my compromised host. I pulled up SQL Management Studio, and here's exactly what I did. It went by in the blink of an eye. I opened it up. I did a select star from whatever customer database, saw a bunch of social security numbers that came back to the screen, and here's how you extract data across the internet. You ready? You select the data, you right-click, you copy, and then you paste back to your attack machine. That is how data leaves your company. I don't have to write some kind of fancy malware that encrypts it 1,000 times and then ships it across the Tor network back to my box. I don't have to do that. I have to right-click copy and then paste it over on my attack machine. And that is how data leaves. So why is DLP utterly useless? It doesn't look at the RDP channel. It doesn't care about any of that stuff. DLP is not watching data that's floating around your network. It's watching emails that your users are sending. Because chances are, that's probably how you have it configured in your environment. All right? Unbelievable. We're halfway through. We got 3 more. Best ones are coming up. Your security policies. Ooh. What? Oh. Your poor security policies. Why are your security policies not helping you? For a few reasons. What? They are not enforced. Thank you very much, smart man. They are not enforced. You could have a security policy that says if you leak data through an email, you're getting fired. Well, guess what? If you do nothing about that, if you're just like, oh, user, you're naughty, don't do that, nothing's going to happen. And nobody's going to care. And people are just going to go out to Facebook and Amazon and Zappos to do the shoe shopping anyways. Your security policy is, you have to think to yourself a few things. Number one, if anyone has read your policy, they promptly ignored it and trashed it. Okay? You have to understand and accept this right now. That's simply the reality that we live in. Okay? If you are a corporate defender and you work in a large corporate enterprise, you are bombarded by information all day, every day, and you are doing as much as you can to forget all the useless crap and only remember what's important to you. Unfortunately, the vast majority of users, especially those who don't know anything about phishing, who don't know anything about viruses or PowerShell-based macros or how to break into a company, they file the security policy under useless. It is not enforceable. You have to help them with this. This is where solid technical controls actually will help you. So, speaking of solid technical controls, privileged account management. By privileged account management, I'm talking about the governance of elevated access. Huge win. That is a picture of Betty White killing someone, and that is a win. Privileged account management is huge, and it's so often overlooked, in spite of the fact that there are good solutions out there to help you with this, even free solutions. TrustedSec has a free solution. Microsoft has a free solution. You don't have to spend a ton of money in order to get a solution that will actually help you with privileged account management. You just have to take the time and energy to implement it. Okay? So when your users say, hey, I need admin rights, when your developers say I need admin rights, okay? I'm sorry, but you have to grow a pair and say, no, you don't. You don't need admin rights to run Visual Studio. You don't need admin rights to run my Eclipse or anything else. You simply need to be able to say, no, you don't, and delegate that stuff out as much as you possibly can. Active Directory is the most delegatable system I have ever looked at. It's incredible what you can delegate with AD, but people don't use it. So because you have a security E-form in your environment that says, I need admin rights, next, finish, that is hurting you, okay? Because your users are going to get administrator rights, and if your organization is lucky, you have a process in place to remove those admin rights once the user's done. Okay, but more often than not, the user gets admin rights, they transfer jobs, they go do something else, they retain those rights, and then along comes the hacker who runs Mimikatz on your environment and scoops up hundreds of credentials because your users have admin rights in places they're not supposed to. Privileged account management. It does not have to be expensive, but it is very helpful. Number 8. Network intrusion prevention or intrusion detection. Where are we at? What do you say, folks? Remember, determined intruder. Does that change anything? What do you think? Fail. Sorry. Sorry, Nips. Sorry, Nids. If I'm a determined intruder, let me put it this way. The vast majority of customers that we test all have some sort of IDS or IPS in place. All of them, okay? Sometimes they're managed, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're, in-house. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. From my standpoint, the reason why it doesn't matter, because I finished up a pen test a little while ago, and my customer got on the phone when I was doing the report delivery. They got their managed service provider. Their managed service provider was just the shiz when it came to managing environments, and they were actually offended that we had gotten as far as we got. So my customer does not know much about technology, so they're like, all right, MSSP, come to our defense and tell us why the hacker's wrong. So we get on the phone. The MSSP says, well, I caught like 90% of what you did, but our system was in audit mode. That's literally what happened. You know what? No one cares about your audit mode. No attacker cares about your audit mode. You can have the most glorious implementation of IPS or IDS on the planet, but if you're not actually doing anything with those alerts, it's useless to you. If you are not aggregating your logs, if you're not getting something in your SIM solution that says something like, Joe Bob salesperson tried 1,000 times to log into different servers in 5 seconds and he failed. I wonder why. Oh well, moving right along. That's a problem, okay? Or worse, if I can social engineer you out of your panic mode, even better. Man, I love this story. I was testing a customer. I was doing a PCI pen test on site. They gave me 3 days to test this. And from my attack machine, I launched a massive port scan. I did not care who caught me. Didn't matter. I just laid waste. All right? And my phone rings. And the only person who knew that I was doing this test was my contact who was in the office next door to me. And I look over my contact, and he's not calling me. But my phone is ringing. So I'm like, why not? Answer the phone. So I answer the phone. I'm like, hello? Like, hi, this is John from network engineering. Are you running a port scan? Yep. I'm not going to lie. This is a true story, by the way. He's like, why? And I was like, oh, it's routine maintenance. I've like sweaty hands. I know what he was. It's routine maintenance. And John's like, oh, this is all routine? And I'm like, yeah. And he said, and I kid you not, quote unquote, he said, does this mean I could ignore all those alerts? Yes, you can. He's like, oh, great. Hung the phone. I was like, awesome. Took everything. Okay? Even if you're getting the alerts, if you're not following up on them, or you have a stupid network engineer, who's going to believe everything the other person on the phone says? Okay? Those solutions are not helping you. All right? Let's talk about something that well, maybe it helps you. You tell me. Active Directory group policy. Active Directory group policy is awesome. I love AD group policy because you can do so much awesome stuff with it for free. At RSA, there's a group behind me, and I'm sorry if you're here, but I'm gonna call out your product. Their entire product was a pitch about how we mitigate past the hash. And I was like, Okay? And so, like, next demo at 1 o'clock. So I strolled up there. There was no one else around. It was 1 o'clock, and I stood there. I had a shirt on that said Pen Tester. I stood there right in front of this guy, and I'm like, all right, dazzle me. And so he starts going on with his presentation. Once again, if you're that dude, sorry, man. He starts going on with this presentation, and the whole point of the product was you can check out rights to an account, you get the password, and then after a certain amount of time, say a few hours, the password for that account resets. All right? How does this mitigate past the hash? It doesn't. All right? That hash is still valid for the amount of hours. And if you're a pen tester, you know that sometimes all it takes is a couple of hours, and you got everything that you need. So that was how that product was sold. I don't even know how much it was being sold for, but in our presentation, I started saying things like, hey, everyone here, do you want to, like, help, really drastically reduce past the hash? Just use group policy to turn on NTLM v2 and SMB signing, and a lot of your problems go away. And oh, by the way, you can do that for free. Now, AD group policy has had its share of issues. If you're a pen tester, you know about the group policy preferences problem, whereby Microsoft published the AES crypto key that it used to secure passwords. Well, they did that. Okay, that's their problem. But they actually they caught on to the fact that this was really stupid, and they released a patch for it. Okay, beyond that, you can configure so much with group policy, it's outstanding. And oh, by the way, you can do it for free. I hate paying for stuff. I am super, super cheap. And so every time I can recommend to a customer something that will actually help them, and it doesn't cost them anything except time, I'm all for doing that. AD group policy is one of those. And the last thing is what everything you just bought, I won't even ask you, it's total fail. The latest awesome thing that you just paid for, there's going to come a point in time when pen testers are actually going to have to start taking that stuff seriously. But at this point in time, it hasn't happened yet. Okay? I would so much rather tell my customers, use the tools that you already had. Take a look at this list. Look at all the stuff that's in the win category. All right? Have a look at that. Which of those things in the win category do you have to pay for? There's only one. NAC. You only have to pay for NAC. That's right. What do you have to pay for in the fail category? Just about everything else. Okay? Save your dollars and actually spend it on something that's worthwhile. Number one, good engineers. Buy good people. Nothing can replace it. And by good people, I mean people who aren't just going to flame out on an ego trip, okay, every time someone points out a failing or something like that. I'm talking about someone who is solid, who knows their stuff, and who can humbly do their best in the interests of the company. Okay? Buy good people. That's such a better use of time and money. Don't necessarily throw your dollars away. If protecting against determined intruders is your goal, remember, determined intruders. All right? I'm not saying AV is like totally bad and just ditch it and throw it away on all your servers. I'm saying if stopping hackers from getting into your organization is your primary goal, the things on the right are not necessarily going to help you. Okay? That's all I had. I am like right smack on time. Questions? Good. Seriously though, if you have questions, come find me later. Bye. Thank you so much.